It's
It's
actually
only for host and co-host.
It's only for host and co-host. You will not see it.
But where is it? Where is it?
If you, for example, go to you, I mean, I go up, there are 3 dots. Okay. And I can go down and I can put you on spotlight video. For example, now if I do it, you're on spotlight, right? Are you on spotlight now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I have to now see how to get.
Get me off the spotlight, please.
I put you on spotlight. I'm trying to see now how to get.
Smita, keep on talking. Make your evening.
Karthikeyan is on mute.
Yeah, because he will be speaking for the remaining 90 minutes.
Rajiv, on the top right hand side corner, sorry, left hand side corner, you'll see remove.
Yeah, I did that. I did that. No worries. Now, how come everybody keeps on coming on spotlight?
Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, that's the speaker view. Like
okay.
Once I remove from, you can put it to gallery view on top.
Hello, Sandeep sir. How are you?
I am very good. Very good. Thank you.
Has Sandeep been recently honored with Sir title? Okay, we have not been informed in the group.
Well, he was knighted by the Queen. That's what she said to me in her WhatsApp message to me. So,
like when the Queen was in England or when the Queen was in Australia?
Knighted as in what? KN or only N?
Sorry.
That if it is only N, it will put him in the royal pedigree. You know.
DTM Karthikeyan, remember the theme of the day.
Yeah.
Mind your language.
That's why I was just giving you the spellings. I didn't pronounce the words. You know. See?
Karthikeyan.
Yeah.
We should pass a bylaw in the club that no one can use the Toastmaster of their theme before the Toastmaster announces it. I've seen now everyone uses the theme before the Toastmaster even comes on, and by the time
I seriously meant to him, mind your language.
Oh, okay.
I didn't talk about his theme.
Okay, it was only a coincidence.
Yes, yes.
Pooja, how you have been with the Take Debate Club?
Good so far.
Okay, so all set for today's. Are you part of the debate team today?
Yeah.
Good.
Who's the timer today?
Pranav.
Okay.
Does it play on the mind, Sandeep, when you know the timer?
No. Just wanted to know so that I can pin.
So today, I think Hemant sir is going to be the president, acting president. Lavanya and Vinod are not there.
And Divya will close as the president.
Yeah, because you said you had to go for your
yes
festival.
Tomorrow is the festival, so before that day you have to take your wife out and go to a nice place to make her eat, because tomorrow she is going to fast. That's how the celebration is. I said, okay, fine.
I know.
Santhana is also joining. Rajiv.
Yeah. I invited him.
Correct, very good.
I invited
and so nice of him to message that I'm going to join. So okay, good.
Yeah.
Is this
I
what
will
you
have
are calling, or
a cousin of mine joining from Bangalore. She will come only at 9 o'clock, I think, India time. So 7:30, which I will admit.
By the time debate will be halfway
through? Well,
not necessarily.
Yeah, halfway through probably, yes.
No, debate should be over by then.
7:30 our time.
No. 15 minutes में debate खत्म हो जाएगा? Doubtful.
Which you said 9 o'clock, no?
9 o'clock India time.
No, the debate is about to start at that time. 7:31, the debate is starting.
Yeah, debate starts at 7:31, so that's okay. The debate team
Santana.
seem to be preparing phenomenally. I can't see them anywhere.
Hi. Welcome.
Is there a breakout room or something where they have gone?
No. I see only 2 members of 2 or 3 members. Now they are coming in. All the debate team members.
Welcome, Santana.
Hi Sandeep, I'm from the assertive side. I'm here, very much here.
No. We thought you came to check how is the playground and then you went off.
So what I normally do is I come back from office, open my laptop, get into the meeting, and then I'm gone for 5-10 minutes.
I'm trying to enable the video. It says host has disabled it. Who's the,
No, I'm the host, but why would I disable it? One minute.
No,
Okay. I got it. 1 minute. Let me check. Okay, now?
yeah.
Smita, all set?
Do not ask such questions. for which there are no answers. But it's okay. We are in a better position today than we were yesterday.
You think we have to wake up Divya and say good morning? You're sure she'll come?
Yeah. She's the acting president, no, for the second half or what?
Oh, okay.
What is the motion, Smita?
Okay, good question. Okay, motion is...
She discussed so much that she has forgotten the motion now.
After preparing for so many days, I'm forgotten.
That's the reason I always say in any motion should not be there. And that way in life also should not be there.
We will catch our moderator.
Majorly philosophical today.
Good evening.
The way Karthik picked up the cup and had the sip looks like a Hindi movie scene where the suitcase is never full, but the heroine always carry it as if like it is full.
Or even the way they drink coffee, it's an empty cup, they keep sipping.
Correct, true. I don't know. They can spend crores and crores on the movie, but they will never fill the suitcase and they will never fill the cup.
If you do this challenge, because we don't want any.
The immediate past president has announced her presence by the video of her chair.
The chair is important, right? It's not the person, no?
Hello, Soumya.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Vijaya, you were supposed to give this chair to Lavanya, as you said to me in June, that this chair belongs to president.
Yeah, absolutely. But पुरानी आदतें नहीं छूटती है ना, तो कुर्सी भी नहीं छूट रहा है.
Okay. No wonder that all the politicians, even after they have not become prime minister, or they still occupy the bungalows on the Lodi Road or Lajpat Road in Delhi.
Yeah, very true.
But nowadays you hardly find these chairs in offices and executives also. So that's the reason it is catching our attention. Full headrest, thinking, and still enjoying the ride, the swing.
I spend a lot of time on this chair, so I have to ensure that I have a very comfortable chair.
Many good idea or good thing on your part, so that you're always rested. The neck is more important.
Yeah.
And when you have a tall, back on the chair, you tend to kind of rest your full spine on it. That
Correct.
becomes a natural way of sitting.
True.
Yeah.
You bought the chair on your own, or has someone gifted you?
This chair was bought by my husband. Because because he realized I work a lot on my laptop at home, so
Good.
So today we're missing our president and hi Pranav.
Secretary.
Yeah, secretary, president. Why
So
are
we're
all
going to have a milder this thing, is it? Oh, without we're recording. He will still come up with his Pando minutes.
I just realized all the debating team members are invisible mode.
Yeah, they're all preparing.
Hi Pooja.
We are here only, Baba. कहीं पे भाग नहीं जा रहे.
भाग कैसे सकते हो?
I hope they have brought, the affirmative team should have brought a pat as a live example, the way they use the language as a live example.
Yeah, pets are running around in the house here. They can't hold them to the chair here.
Negative team listening, right?
Hey, evaluator, who are you helping? Who you seem to be on their side? That's not fair. Huh?
I'm not on anyone's side. I'm just.
He's not on anyone's side. He is just trying to play Narad Muni.
By the way, who prepared the agenda today? DTM Karthikeyan?
No?
Divya.
I think
Oh,
Divya.
DTM
Yeah.
Divya.
Actually, I'm mightily pleased to see the agenda because I've already become DTM according to the agenda. So, मुझे आगे कुछ करना ही नहीं फिर अभी.
मुझे भी DTM बना दिया.
देख, दिव्या को जाके पकड़.
Thank you, Divya.
No.
She's not yet here, Vijaya.
I was going to send a message. Thanks, Divya. Thanks, Atan.
She's not come in. No, Radha. She's not yet here.
Not yet.
Yeah, today we are only
Hi, Anu.
12 and we are already at 7:10. Another 5 minutes and then we have to decide what do we do.
The role players, can we do a check on the role players?
Yeah.
Rajiv, they say presidential address by Hemant.
Yes.
Present.
A. Modi, Radha Hari, she's there. Samira Khan for the TT, we are waiting for her. Sandeep is here. Then closing is Divya.
Ravi Musad should be here because he is doing the table topic evaluation.
Yeah, okay. TT evaluation is.
Being nothing necessarily meant I do that guy. I wasn't.
Ravi Musad. I think the debating team, Smita, Vijaya.
She is missing.
Vijaya went missing. No, she's there.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. Soumya, I saw her.
She'll come.
Pooja is there. Anuradha is there. We're waiting for Divya. Divya comes. She fills in 2 roles now.
She'll come.
Yeah. Divya and Ravi. We should page Ravi and see where is he.
Ravi Saab, kahan hai aap? Okay, it's 7:10 already, so please. No, I know, 5 more minutes. We are still in a quandary whether to start or not. So. All right, thanks. Bye. Ravi will join.
Hi, Soumya. Why giving that smile? Huh?
I said hi to you that time itself. तुम अभी आधे घंटे बाद मेरे को देख रहे हो.
हाँ तो फिर आप गुम हो गए.
I said hi to you.
No, I said after that you gum ho gaye. You disappeared after that.
I told you that I'm going to disappear. I just wanted to see that I can connect and then I'm going to disappear for a few minutes.
I missed you, man. I said I missed you.
Oh, really? Good to know, Smita. Somebody's missing me.
During the debate preparation.
Oh, but why? You could have easily taken her.
But then you came in between, no?
Hello, I have been in Soumya's life much before you came along.
Oh God.
तो आप हमारे टीम में आ जाते.
हाँ. वो भी है. और आप भी हमारे टीम में आ सकते हो. वो भी हो सकता है.
वो भी हो सकता है.
अभी दिव्या को पकड़ो.
It's Smita, Divya, and Pooja, right? In one team.
No, Anuradha.
Pooja is with us.
Sorry?
I said Pooja, Soumya, and me in one team.
Vijaya, Soumya, and Pooja. Okay, sorry.
Order is going to be actually Pooja's the team captain, then Soumya, and I'm the final speaker.
Oh, that's a change in the agenda.
Agenda is different.
The agenda is a different sequence.
Oh, is it?
And even the team is different in the agenda.
No. You are the captain, Vijaya. Soumya follows. Pooja is last, as per the
It was on the agenda,
but we decided to make Pooja our opening speaker, and then Soumya, and then me.
And you are affirmative.
We are negative.
You're negative.
Yes.
So the whole thing is different because in the agenda it says
Pooja is an affirmative.
in the affirmative team.
No.
No.
Affirmative is Smita beginning. Second is Divya. Third is Anuradha.
Correct.
अरे यार agenda देख रहा हूँ मैं.
अरे मैं भी देख रहा हूँ यार.
Radha Hari, are you clear about the team?
Yeah, clear.
You're the one who should be clear.
No, I'm clear.
Okay.
You want me to read it again, Sandeep?
Yeah, it's better, no? The final words. He's the evaluator. He should know who.
I'll do it.
Yeah, please. Affirmative opening is
From the affirmative team.
Divya, there is a confusion about the agenda. Can you clarify?
Okay, yeah.
Who is the affirmative team? What is the sequence of speaking? And who is the negative team? What is the sequence of speaking?
Yeah.
There is a confusion there.
Team captain is Smita Vaidya.
Yeah.
The second speaker from the affirmative team will be Divya.
Yeah.
And the third speaker is Anuradha Kama.
Correct.
From the negative team captain is Pooja. Second speaker is Soumya. And third speaker is Vijaya.
Correct.
Yeah.
okay. And okay.
So I think all are here. I am going to start now.
One more minute is there. One more minute is there.
Yeah, I know. 7:15, I will start.
From 40 participants, we have come down to only 15, is it, in this meeting?
Oh. What happened today?
We didn't make much noise, I think.
Noise.
Yeah.
I think everybody was busy.
Yeah, it's a busy time.
That's good.
An invite has been sent to all of them and even few of them. But let's
So finally, we get to see Pooja. That's wonderful.
مساء الخير إثباتوس ماستر المتواجدين والضيوف. أنا رجيب نايك الركيب الأول في السلاحي يعني سارجنت تارجس. مرحبا وأرحب بكم في الاجتماع الثاني والثلاثين لنادي التوفيق لنادي ديبيت. اليوم نقاش بين فراق النساء الرب يسعدوني. يعني Women debating, Lord help us. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, debaters, and guests. I am Rajiv Naik, the Chief Sergeant at Arms, and I welcome you all to the 32nd session of our Great Take Debate Club Adventure Ride. Today, we are all going to experience a roller coaster ride as the debate is between two all-women teams. Enjoy the ride, as hopefully they will also bring in a new flavor in the form of patient listening, followed by a bungee jump experience in the form of table topics. Just a piece of advice to all the jumpers: it looks like an intimidating experience, but it is not. Take the plunge and enjoy. Finally, experience the exhilarating feeling when the all men evaluators will shower you with their good and noble advice. Trust me, it is good for you. Now, a bit about Toastmasters. Toastmasters International is a non-profit organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs founded by Dr. Ralph C. Smedley in 1924, headquartered in Inglewood, Colorado. Organization's adventurous membership presently exceeds 358,000 in more than 16,800 clubs in 143 countries, and the numbers keep changing every day. Since 1924, Toastmasters International has helped people from diverse backgrounds become more confident speakers, communicators, and leaders. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. A vision statement declares a vision of the future. Few safety rules and precautions to be taken during the adventure. Kindly rename yourselves instead of mobile numbers, pet names, or acronyms. Those are essentially meant only for dating websites and shadi.com. Keep your mobiles in silent as it may fall during the rides. Also request you all to adhere to the 3 no policies: no sex, religion, and politics, mentioned during your speeches or other Toastmastering activities. You all know by now how to get away with it. Just keep your audio silent and video shut. On this note, it is now time to request you all to help me welcome the affable and accomplished acting president and our club VP membership, DTM Hemant Mundra.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. This looks like a very privately closed affair today, and all of us are here from our own club. And by the power vested by the Toastmasters International and the club constitution, I declare the 32nd meeting open. I still, it has been a long back, I have given the presidential address. I gave my first presidential address in 2007, July. So it's been 13 years. And when I got elected the president in that year, I was knowing that in the next meeting, they will ask me to give a kind of address, why and what's the reason about it before the term begin in July. So I prepared my presidential address verbatim, but gave the impression that I have done it extempore because there was no plan for me to speak. And they wanted to test me whether Hemant can really give a speech or not as a president. And when I gave it, after that, they said, Hemant, how come you were able to speak so fluently as a presidential address? I said, I'm like that. But I knew in my heart of heart that I did prepare. But since I've established myself in that image, I have to maintain that image for the rest of the term of 12 months. So each time I prepared my presidential address, and in that 1 year, I have mastered the art of giving keynote address, presidential address extempore. So what I did as a design has become my nature as by default. So whoever I meet in Toastmaster as a member or as a guest, I tell them that Toastmaster is a vestibule. You join it and leave it to Toastmasters. Toastmaster will make you a great communicator by default because you are into it. In our club, Pooja is a new member. So Pooja, this is for you. You have joined in, so stay put and you will be a great communicator and debater. Pranav, today, the way I have shared my story, I hope after 5-6 years or in few years, we will also share the same story, that what I did to become a great communicator in Toastmaster. With this, I can see that there are no guests in the room. Are there any guests in the room who are non-Toastmasters? Are there any guests in the room? Santana is from another Toastmaster club. So Santana, if you can just introduce yourself, your name and the club you belong to, and what has brought you here to this special club of Take Debate.
So very good evening, everyone. My name is Santana Krishnan. I am part of Bulge Toastmasters Club. Few of you people know me, and for those who don't know me, I was invited by TTM Rajiv. He suggested that why don't I be present for this meeting, since I'm also doing the role of SAA in my club. So I thought it is a good opportunity to take some cues and also clues on how to do my role better. And I also know that this particular club has a lot of heavyweights, stalwart Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters. So, and I've also attended one debate contest, I guess, which Rajiv was moderating a few months back. So I thought this will be a good opportunity to understand how to, debate and things like that. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Santana. You spoke so well, and as a VP membership of the club, not as a president, the form is on your way. Give your membership number, and then you have to join this club the way you showed your interest.
Sure.
So let's move on with the meeting agenda. Any meeting of Toastmaster is always carried on by a person or an individual who is in charge on that day. So today we have a person whom I know for many years. And when I met him first, I know, and he also shared that he is the Adnan Sami of the Toastmasters. What we see Adnan Sami today and what we know Adnan Sami, Karthikeyan is a living example of that. And by that, I have seen his commitment towards himself to be presentable, to be talkable, and at the same time, very humorous. He will take you by surprise that he is very humorous. And no wonder that last meeting we were lost in translation. And this meeting, he has found a connectivity to that. What you don't know about him, one of the incident is this. His wife has finally decided to marry him because when they were doing the shopping for the marriage function and along with the mother of Karthikeyan, and when on a good purchase or good choice by his mother, Karthikeyan used to hug his mother and used to show his love. So his wife thought, when he can be so affable towards his mother, I will be in the right arms of this gentleman. So he decided that Karthikeyan is for me. But this was not it. Karthikeyan was about to get married to another lady if things would not have happened at the right time. There were two marriages side by side. One was Karthikeyan's, of course, and the other one was Karthikeyan's sister's friend's sister marriage. Karthikeyan reached in time to the temple, but the other groom has not arrived. So they reached and thought Karthikeyan is the groom, and he was about to garland that lady before the two other parties arrived and stormed. And a verification has to take place before they knew who is whose groom as such. And no wonder that Karthikeyan has all this smile still now of that incident. And you can see that person is smiling. So please join me in welcoming our Toastmaster of the evening, none other than the name which I mentioned, Karthikeyan. Welcome, Karthikeyan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hemant. I know you really took me to that day where I almost got married to somebody else. To give you the full picture, it was myself and my cousin were waiting in the temple, and the other, normally in South India, the girl's family comes and receives you and takes you to the marriage hall. So when this group came, they thought I was the groom, and they did all the puja, and I was about to go with them when suddenly somebody said, no, this is not the groom. And I was so embarrassed because there were like 100 people and they was telling me that this is not the groom. So thank you for reminding me about it. It's a welcome to the 32nd meeting of the Take Debate Toastmasters Club. In fact, when I volunteered to be on the TMOD and when I had to choose a theme, the first thing which came to my mind was mind your language, because we are such a verbose club. We keep talking a lot. We talk a lot, not just at the club meetings. We talk a lot on WhatsApp. Sometimes, there's so much of messages. If you are not on top of what's going on, you will miss what is happening in that group. In fact, what triggered me also was like, maybe some of you may remember, a few days back, there was a very innocent post which came on the group, where someone kissed someone on a train. And there was this, very lonely word only passing through that sentence. And every step that word took in that sentence, the whole meaning changed. Every step was so different. So it kind of struck me that how important a word, a single word, and placement of a word is. And that really, some of the sentences in that was really so dangerous that it created a lot of ripples in the group, like people saying, don't continue this conversation and that type of thing. So it kind of made me wonder how important it is, the words we speak and the way we place our words. But when I started preparing for this, I thought, what do I do? Where do I go look for information? First, I was looking up some of these, quips, which is made by the one and only Shashi Tharoor. He's got a lot of these information or data from him or speeches by him, where he kind of pulls out the differences between the British accent and the US accent, and how the English language, though the same language in two different countries, means differently in each of these places. And then I thought, why should I look outside? Our club is such a vibrant club. All I have to do is just put out a question and ask them, what do they feel, and what is their experience with words, and how embarrassed or how different an experience they had when mind your language did not work for them. And believe me, the amount of information I got back, you will not believe, it was so much that I can actually talk the entire 2 hours, only those information. But I will not do it because there's only 5 minutes for me. So what I will do is that I'm not going to just let everybody, though good that the group is also small, we will have, you'll be using a lot of your chat box. So I will try to bring out, being a closed group, I'll try to bring out, inform you the various experiences our members have had. And let's see if we can identify them by the kind of experience they had. Yeah. Okay. First, let me tell you about, there is one person who was an officer in SBI, and this person, as a young officer at SBI, still not married, she was like approached by a colleague and asked, like, madam, are you in the family way? And this really took her back. Like, if you know who it is or you guess who it is, just put it on the chat. As we go along, we'll see if we are able to guess it right. And before I move on, let me just point out to you certain changes in the agenda, the program, what we have. The card is full today, but there are going to be small changes in the agenda. One, we will have, of course, you saw the first change. Hemant is acting as the president in place of our president, Toastmaster Lavanya. And as we move along, we will have, for TT evaluation will be done by DTM Ravi Masu. And the closing session will be done by, because DTM Hemant has to leave for his religious, adhering to certain religious commitments, what he's got, family commitments. So the closing address by the president will be done again as an acting role by DTM Divya Raj. These are the changes. And the teams, there are some changes in the order in which the teams are, and the debating teams, who's opening and who's the rebuttal and who's closing. So that will be explained to you by the debate moderator as she comes along. Now, before we get to business, let me, the person who's going to conduct the main event of the day, which is the debate, is someone who's who's someone, you know, who always, the first time I saw her, I always wondered, like, is she sure that she wants to be in a debate club? Was such a silent person. She is somebody who is so silent but very effective. You know, a member of the Desert Divas Toastmasters Club, and she's been a Toastmaster for 6 years now. She has been so silent that, you know, people, but so effective that our VP Education gave her the DTM title even before she could get it, as she pointed out. In fact, one of the experience she had is that in the initial days of her Toastmastering journey, in an evaluation, somebody came up and, you know, on the podium and said, your body was very perfect, but the conclusion was quite flat. And it was something that took her back. Let's put our hands together and let's welcome our debate moderator for the day, DTM, a determined Toastmaster, a dedicated Toastmaster, Toastmaster Radha Hari.
Thank you so much, DTM Karthikeyan, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, I have to mind my language today. I have to be extremely careful. Well, dear Toastmasters, welcome to this fabulous debate session. Every morning, my phone is inundated with pictures, and I get audio messages saying, Amma, Angel looks so cute. Can't we bring her home? Tuffy is homeless. Why aren't we bringing him home? The debate goes on and on. I'm talking about my 20-year-old son who hasn't changed his DP in the last 4 years. According to him, dogs are the best in the world. I'm tempted to go on, and the debate goes on. I haven't found the question as yet. So I thought, why not throw it open to the best club in the town, and why not find it out from this amazing bunch of debaters? And that's how I came up with this topic. Though I'm tempted to talk more and more about it, I was told initially when I was a debate moderator, you're not supposed to give any points. So I'll keep a check. So welcome again to this wonderful debate session. And before we start the debate, please allow me to share a few ground rules. This debate will follow the Toastmasters International recommended method and will consist of 3 speakers on each side. Our timer for today is TM Pranav Trikanan, and the timing rules are as follows. The team captain's opening speeches will be for 5 minutes. The green light will be shown at 4 minutes 30 seconds. The yellow will be shown at 4:40 and the red light will be shown at 4:50. The speaker's microphone will be muted exactly at 5 minutes. The cross-examination segment will be for 2 minutes. The green light will be shown at 1, the yellow at 1:30, the red light will be shown at 2, after which the microphones of the examiner and the respondent will be muted. Speeches by the second and third speakers as well as summary will be for 3 minutes. The green light will be shown at 2:30, the yellow light will be shown at 2:40 and the red at 2:50. Again, the speaker's microphone will be muted at 3 minutes. Debaters, please note that no new material is allowed during the summary speech. Let us now meet the debaters. In the team affirmative, the team captain is Toastmaster Smita Vaidya. The second speaker is Toastmaster Divya Raj, and the third speaker is Toastmaster Anuradha Kamat. In the team negative, the team captain is Toastmaster Pooja, second speaker is DTM Soumya Rangarajan, and the third speaker is Toastmaster Vijaya Sukumar. Speakers shall speak according to the team sequence, and of course, the microphones will be on mute when they are not speaking. The speaking sequence is as follows. The affirmative captain will give her constructive speech. The negative captain, this team from the negative, captain from the negative team will cross-examine the affirmative captain. Their negative team captain will give her constructive speech. The second speaker from the affirmative team will be invited to cross-examine speaker number 1 from the negative team. The affirmative speaker number 2 will give constructive speech. The team negative speaker, speaker number 2 from the negative team will cross-examine affirmative speaker 2. Speaker 2 from the negative team will give constructive speech, followed by speaker 3 from the affirmative team will cross-examine speaker number 2 from the negative team. Then the speaker number 3 will give constructive speech from the affirmative team. The negative speaker 3 will cross-examine the affirmative speaker 3, and the speaker 3 from the negative team will give constructive speech. The affirmative team captain will be invited to cross-examine the speaker 3 from the negative team. The affirmative speaker 1 will cross-examine speaker 3 from the negative team. And the captain of the affirmative team will be asked to give the summary. Finally, the captain from the negative team will be giving the summary. I hope the rules are clear. Yeah. I hope I haven't done any mistakes.
I think next time I think we can put up a slide instead of this.
Okay. Are our debaters ready?
Yes.
How about the audience?
Yes.
Always ready.
Okay, so is it the debut that we are having all women speakers today? Yes, can we have a round of applause, please? Okay, let the team debate begin. Our resolution for this debate is resolve that every home should have a pet. I repeat, our resolution for this debate is resolve that every home should have a pet. May I now invite Toastmaster Smita, who's the team captain from the affirmative team. Toastmaster Smita, may you begin your constructive speech for 5 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Since ages, there has always been a symbiotic relationship between humans and animals. We have formed bonds over millennia in which two species have only enhanced each other's lives. From safety, companionship, conservation, and protection, so many different purposes have been served by this irreplaceable bond between pets and pet owners. And hence, our team firmly stands for the motion that every house should have a pet. Our argument is based on those 4 undisputable pillars which we will articulate. But before that, let's establish the following facts. A pet, as defined by ASPCA, Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, is any animal that is fit to be a companion to humans and is well adapted to human ways of life. These include dogs, cats, horses, rabbits, ferrets, birds, select fishes, guinea pigs, and select other mammals. Please note, we are not including exotic and wild animals. A home is a place that denotes comfort, security, a place of refuge, a place where we live. And here are our reasons. According to the renowned Newport Academy, evidence points to the fact that interacting with a family dog for just a few minutes have shown remarkable reduction in cortisol, an increase in release of oxytocin or the happy hormone. Evidence points to the fact that pets help increase mental well-being of both pet owners and the animal alike. Animals make us more human. No, I am not telling this. In his book of the same title, renowned biologist John Bradshaw of Bristol University wrote this in 2017. Not just for their sake, their presence in our home only help us appreciate the world we live in more better and act as a natural bridge between humans and natural environment. In this day of rapid digitization and automation, they can provide us with a much needed link back to our environment. His book shows that pet owners favored better animal treatment, were more concerned with animal welfare issues, and showed higher conservation habits compared to non-pet owners. Research in Scholastic 101, a famous education website, suggests that social, emotional, and cognitive development of a child is enhanced when a child cares for a pet. Studies have found that pet ownership can encourage language and communication skills because children tend to talk to their animals, to confide their feelings, show affection, give commands sometimes, and even incorporate them in their pretend play scenarios. Most children are fascinated by animals and feel a natural connection to them. When we introduce pets to them, the effect is always a pure delight. It's no wonder that storylines of countless classic books and favorite characters are based on animals. Old MacDonald songs, Cat in the Hat of Dr. Seuss, the list is long. Protective nature of pet is well known and is even recorded in history, with numerous instances of pet even giving up their lives for their masters. From being guides to visually challenged persons to being able to sense the onset of a seizure, pets provide protection of a wide variety to all us humans. A simple bark or a yip to alert someone or a vicious attack of an intruder is all part of the unconditional love that pet provides. According to a research given by PETA, each year approximately 2.7 million dogs and cats are killed every year because shelters are too full and there aren't enough adoptive homes. My heart goes out to these innocent, vulnerable souls that have an equal right to live in this world as we humans do. I'm not sure why we need to debate a point that's already well proven, but since we are here, I would like to rest my argument with the fact that while we sentient humans continue to debate the question about whether we should own or not the pets, these mute animals continue to be an integral part of our life and enrich it in every way possible. Therefore, I would like to request the members of this house to go get a pet right away, or if you already have one, spend time with that since the motion is already carried. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Smita. May I now invite the captain of the negative team, Toastmaster Pooja, to begin a cross-examination for 2 minutes. Toastmaster Pooja.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your affirmative speech. My first question would be, given that the motion that has been laid out, every house should have a pet, where in her speech has my worthy opponent mentioned where every house, the term every house, why does every house need a pet? It wasn't really clear.
We have given you ample reasons. I have given you 5 good reasons that every house should have a pet.
You have given me enough reason to have a pet, not every house.
I am giving you reasons, benefits of having a pet. There are 4 clear reasons: safety, companionship, conservation, and protection. So if you don't have one, we need one. I'm giving you the benefits. I think that should make it clear.
Besides moral and philosophical arguments, I still do not see our opposition addressing every household. I'm going to move on to the next question, which is, why can we
I disagree with that. It's not based on philosophical arguments. We had ample evidence of scientific studies.
It still does not.
And of biologists and of education websites. So I'm not sure how you can make that statement.
Well, it still does not address the aspect of every house. And the second question that I would like to say is symbiotic relationship. Do we have to really build a symbiotic relationship with the environment by bringing home a pet? Can we not also look after plants and generally be environmentally conscious human beings? Does it have to involve a pet?
Animals form a very key part of our environment. Is there any reason why we should ignore them?
We're not asking for ignorance of animals. We're asking the reason for bringing a pet specifically to embody this relationship with the environment.
Madam Toastmaster Pooja, again, let me reiterate, I have given you the benefits that a household can have by bringing in pets. So I think I have made my points amply clear.
Number 3, and you have described it as an exercise in empathy and several values that children can develop. Can't children develop these great values even without a pet at home by just simply interacting with others?
The 2 minutes is up, so.
Rather you to invite for constructive speech.
I thought it's not yet over. Okay. Now, may I invite Toastmaster Pooja to begin with your constructive speech for 5 minutes?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Respected members of the House and our visiting colleagues, a very good evening to one and all. I will be serving as the opening opposition against the motion, every house should have a pet. As the first, I will examine the motion statement itself, assess the economic viability of pet ownership, and introduce the House to the twisted world of exotic pet trade, which has been conveniently ignored by our affirmative speaker. Our second speaker, Soumya, will be further emphasizing on the prerequisites such as physical, emotional, and infrastructural capacity needed to take on responsibilities of a pet owner. Finally, our third speaker, Vijaya, will be providing insight into the perils of forced love, highlighting the cycle of pet abandonment, pet breeding industry, and pet attacks. Now, our key rebuttal would include the fact that our opposition has given such a short-sighted definition of the motion. They have completely ignored that the motion on the floor today is every house should have a pet. Let's examine the defining keywords in our motion statement, starting with the cluster term, every household. If we were to account for every household, we are also obliged to account for the realities of global inequality. The World Economic Forum identified global inequality in terms of access to resources as one of the three primary threats to modern human existence. According to the World Bank, 10% of the world's population of 734 million people live in abject poverty. So by definition, households that struggle with basic amenities such as food, clothing, and shelter will now also have to house a pet. Now, second term in contention, pet, which was so ill-defined by the affirmative team. Technically, it's any domesticated or tamed animal. So actually, if I love anacondas and can snake charm my way into taming one, I should be able to qualify it as a pet. Now, the key to our opposition, like I mentioned, lies in the definition itself, which I will lay out as two main key points. Number one, economic feasibility of owning pets across all households. We cannot morally or rationally advise or enforce this decision upon households with limited disposable incomes. As per Personal Finance Service Money Under 30, owning pet entails two types of costs, one-time payments and annual expenses, which can amount to an average of 6,000 dirhams to 10,000 per annum. Moreover, we have to address resource deserts. Now, what are resource deserts? They're impoverished and underdeveloped neighborhoods with no local veterinarians, pet supply stores, groomers, and animal welfare infrastructure, causing them to end up spending more, thus experiencing disproportionate financial burdens. So basically, poor people have to spend more to actually afford a pet. And in one SPCA study, 40% of low-income pet owners end up surrendering their pets due to long-term unaffordability. One cannot therefore justify incurring such costs in low to middle income households. The proposition team statements are riddled with assumptions and privilege, and we simply cannot be party to it. Number two, the exotic pet industry, which was just thrown out of the window for some very ill-defined reason. So I'll pull it back as a challenge. We spoke about people who cannot afford pets in my first statement. Let us talk about the ones with enough money to buy out an entire forest. Ladies and gentlemen who have spent the entire quarantine periods on Netflix, a certain viral documentary about Tiger King must have caught your attention at some point. Tiger Joe or Joe Exotic is a convicted felon whose arrest opened the world's eyes to exotic pet industry. Just open your Instagram and you'll find online exotic pet stores that home deliver leopard cubs in Dubai in 5 to 7 business days. While we mindlessly hit like on local vloggers cuddling their lions, what we refuse to see is a nefarious industrial complex that tears away animals from their natural ecosystem to cater to human whims. National Geographic reports that for every tiger or lion trapped in a zoo, there may be as many as 10 privately owned tigers or lions. Despite the global convention on the international trade in endangered species of wildlife, flora and fauna, and local decrees by our own president, Sheikh Khalifa, banning the private ownership of such exotic creatures, exotic pet industry, also known as wildlife smuggling, continues to generate estimated $23 billion. House, please take into account this number each year as reported by PETA. So please don't fall for the proposition and let them mislead you into believing that pet ownership only means having cute poodles for cuddles. Having explained how detached the proposition's arguments are from the perversions of our world's reality, we urge the House today to vote in opposition to the motion, given the economic and environmental implications of pet ownership in every household. I thereby rest my case proudly to oppose.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Pooja. May I now invite Toastmaster Divya Raj from the affirmative team, speaker number 2, to start her cross-examination for 2 minutes.
Am I audible? Hi, Toastmaster Pooja. That was a very well delivered speech. But however, what I noticed is almost, if I have to equate it, 70% was about the economic angle of whether a household is well-to-do enough to afford a pet, and the balance was about exotic pets. While you did speak about poodles to cuddles, you conveniently ignored that segment of pets which largely contributes to the definition of being pet. And also, I would just like to reiterate the motion for you. It is not every household, it is every home needs a pet. Okay. Could you please tell me what percentage of pets in the world has a contribution towards exotic pets?
What percentage?
Yeah, so if you say 100 pets, what percentage in that is exotic pets?
About 50 to 20%, but is significantly higher economically. I do not know why the affirmative team is afraid of
No,
money.
would you please restrict yourself to answering my question? What percentage
50 to
of
20.
pets?
50
And
to
could you quote a study? Because to me, it seems a very large number.
50 to 20%.
And also,
but house to see how the affirmative team is just afraid of numbers and money for some
No,
reason.
it is not. Still, it's just 15%. The balance 85% are the poodles and the pets and the other pets. All right, Pooja. You spoke about households not being able to afford because they are not able to meet, the basic needs. But haven't you seen beggars coexist with stray dogs? And we're not talking about very expensive pets here. What about having a fish as a pet to have a kind of a distraction? So why is it that you made such a big hue and cry about that 40% of the population that is not able to meet? What about the 60%?
First of all, beggars don't have homes. They coexist with these pets on the streets. So they are not included in the home.
Yes, again, time up. So,
yeah.
Okay. Now, may I now ask Divya to start with a constructive speech for 3 minutes, right, Divya?
Yes. Good evening, members of the House. And continuing the thread of what our opening speaker and captain said, I would be focusing my talk more about pets being good for your health and for your heart. Number one, healthier body. According to the American Heart Association, owning a dog reduces the risk of a cardiovascular disease. There's no black and white reason why, but there's a good chance it's due to all the exercise and attention that the dog needs. Further, according to research published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, walking dogs has further been shown to promote engagement and adherence to regular physical activity. And getting exercise with your pet is free, unlike gym membership and many organized workout groups. Number two, healthier heart. Having a pet is believed to lower blood pressure and cholesterol, especially for those with hypertensive or high risk patients, according to the CDC. Interestingly, NIH research suggests that cat owners are 30% less likely to have a heart attack and 40% less likely to have a stroke. Further, the NIH concluded, based on several heart-related studies, that having a pet can decrease cholesterol, blood pressure, and triglycerides, which are all contributing factors for a heart attack. A Swedish study, Nature Research Journal scientific report published in 2017, followed the health records of millions of over 40 years of age for more than a decade, finding that dog owners who lived alone had a 36% lower risk of cardiovascular disease than those who lived without a pet. Another study by NIH National Library of Medicine indicated that seniors who walked their dogs had lower body mass index than those who didn't have a dog. Number three, improved discipline. The University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center found that teenagers with diabetes managed their disease better if they were put in charge of caring for a fish than teenagers without a pet to take care for. The reason for the study was that teens are a patient population known not for adhering to medical regimens. But when asked with the discipline of keeping an animal on a feeding schedule, the teens more regularly and consistently check their own blood glucose levels. And lastly, improved immunity and allergy prevention. Research in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology contends that having a dog in infancy can improve a child's overall immune system as well as reduce allergies. In fact, it was found that having a pet at home can decrease a child's likelihood of developing allergies by 33%. It's believed that the dander in pet hair might serve as a natural immunotherapy for babies and children. Pets are a perfect sidekick. They're consistent in a world where nothing else is offering comfort and companionship, and they offer it through thick and thin. So go get yourself a pet if you don't have one. And please pass the motion in favor that every home should have a pet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divya. Now, may I now invite the speaker number 2 from the negative team, DTM Soumya Rangarajan, who will begin her cross-examination for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Radha. I would like to pose my first question to Toastmaster Divya. All through your opening constructive speech, you used words like likely to improve, contends, and they believe. Now, do you have any conclusive research to prove that a pet improves the health of a person? Do you have a scientific research that conclusively proves that heart attacks do decrease? I do not want terms like likely and probably.
And no, ma'am. In fact, all 4 of my points had conclusive, what do you say? It was all backed up by researchers from the National Institute of Health, American Health Association, American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. So each of my point was backed up with statistics and studies from respected sources.
Yes, you did name a lot of institutes, I do agree, but there was not one study which had a conclusive proof. Now, Divya, may I ask you, have you studied or looked into Rand Corporation 2017 study which says that there has been no direct correlation between pets and improved health conditions when you take other factors into account? Now, I would like to pose a question to the first speaker, Toastmaster Smita. You spoke about animals giving unconditional love. Have you considered whether you are fit to deserve that love? What if you are a person who does not have an affinity for animals? Then what?
Am I supposed to address this or Smita?
The question needs to be answered by Toastmaster Divya. Even though it's a point raised by the first speaker, it still needs to be answered by Toastmaster Divya.
Let me pose it to Divya. It was brought that an animal gives unconditional love. But what if you are a person who doesn't have an affinity to?
Can I answer it?
I think timer, we should let that question pass for the time being because of the clarification in between. Toastmaster Divya answer the question. Can you unmute her and then we can proceed.
Okay, Toastmaster Soumya, love beckons love. So I don't think any human on this planet is aversive to love. And pets unconditionally bring that out in you. So that's all I have to say to your question.
So do you say that pets do not have emotions?
They do. They do. In fact, they bring that out in you is what I said.
If you are fearful of animals and if you do not have an affinity towards them, do you still believe they will give you unconditional love?
Yes, they would. If you own them, yes, they would.
Okay, thank you.
I think we should close it now. That was the amount of time we took for the clarification.
Okay, thank you so much to DTM Soumya and Divya. Now, may I now request DTM Soumya to begin her constructive speech for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Raina. Good evening, members of the House and my fellow debaters. It's evident that the arguments put forward by the affirmative team lack adequate scientific backing. Psychiatrist Dr. Deg Friccione of the Massachusetts General Hospital says, before adopting a pet, ask yourself, do you have the physical, mental energy, the strength and mobility to maintain a pet? Do you have the financial means to provide for a pet? Now let me elaborate on why it is not feasible that every home should have a pet. My first point, love, commitment and time. All pets demand and have a right to your time and attention. They need to be fed, groomed, cleaned and trained. Dogs need to be walked regularly, hamsters need their cages cleaned, and fish tanks need to be monitored. Animal behaviorist Dr. Vint Berger says dogs need a minimum of 2 hours of social time with humans or other dogs every day. Frequent travel, demanding careers, and social obligations make it unfeasible for many to make such a commitment. And not everyone has the emotional capacity to love pets. My second point, space and social consequences. Only a house with adequate space within and a supportive community outside is suitable for a pet. Several housing communities do not allow homes to have pets. For example, in Brisbane, as per the Animals Local Law 2017, animals causing noise nuisance cannot be kept at home. A barking dog or a squawking parrot is considered a nuisance even if it makes noise for a total of 6 minutes in any given hour of the day. Dubai municipality prohibits dogs in public parks, beaches, and shopping malls, keeping public safety in mind. My third point, health hazards. Pets pose health hazards for older adults who have problems with gait and stability. Falls and broken bones are a real danger when a pet gets under their feet or jumps upon them. Dog dander, bird droppings, reptile touch, animal feces can all cause allergies, bacterial infections, and gastrointestinal problems. While these may not be life-threatening, people with weakened immune systems are definitely susceptible. As per 2018 report of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 11% of Americans above 6 years of age have been infected with toxoplasma. Spread through cats, it causes seizures and neurological problems in children and puts pregnant women at risk because it causes birth defects. All it takes is a simple feasibility analysis to show that not every home can house a pet. I rest my case.
Thank you, Soumya. Now, may I now invite Toastmaster Anuradha, who's the speaker number 3 from the affirmative team, to begin her cross-examination for 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Toastmaster Soumya, you mentioned something about the emotional capacity. What is the definition of your emotional capacity? All humans, we are all emotional. Now, how can you define what is emotional capacity? What is your definition?
Toastmaster Anuradha, I don't have to go very far. I myself am scared of all kinds of animals and I'm averse to having a dog licking my face or smelling my feet. So I will not be comfortable having a dog in my house, though I do not wish harm to any animal.
Okay, fair enough. Now you spoke about health hazards. Do health hazards come only because you bring a pet home? Our environment is so polluted that you can have more health hazards by just breathing this air. So how do you say that it is only because you need to get a pet home and then they are going to cause some health hazards to you?
Diseases from the environment are beyond our control, but keeping a pet is a choice I can make. And why would I invite trouble? I definitely believe that prevention is better than cure.
You mentioned, my third question, you mentioned about love, commitment, and time. A pet is like bringing a child home. So wouldn't you want to, you would say the same thing about children as well?
To begin with, I wouldn't want to compare my child to a rat or a rabbit or a reptile, because my child is my flesh and blood, whom I love unconditionally. And so I definitely believe that I cannot love a pet as much as I love my child. And if I had to make a choice between my child and my pet, I would definitely—
I'm not asking you to make a I'm not asking you to make a comparison at all, ma'am. They're almost like your children. They develop an emotional bond with you.
As
so
I said,
why wouldn't you want to?
I would develop a bond with them if I had an affinity for them. But to start with, if I have a fear of animals, there is no way I'm going to form.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anuradha and DTM Soumya. Now, may I now request Anuradha to start her constructive speech for 3 minutes. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
For the last 20 odd
Timer, can you get, sorry.
For the last 20 odd minutes, we have been debating on the motion, every home should have a pet. And my team has highlighted and accentuated a few important points on how having pets at home can be very beneficial. And now I'm going to further emphasize on the mental aspect of this. Pets, as we all see, are wonderful companions, and they are extremely helpful to people recovering from mental health. Having a dog, a cat, a fluffy rabbit, a beautiful goldfish in your aquarium can actually help one cope with depression, anxiety, stress, something that we commonly see across the globe. Let me explain how. A 2016 study at the University of Manchester, United Kingdom, scientifically explored the benefits of human-animal bond. Pets have evolved to become acutely attuned to human behavior and emotions. Dogs, for example, are able to understand many of the words that we use. They are better at interpreting the tone of our voice, body language, and gestures. And like any good human friend, a loyal dog will also look into your eyes and gauge your emotional state and try and understand what you're feeling and thinking. Playing with a dog or cat can elevate the levels of serotonin and dopamine, which can calm and relax a person. Pets provide a source of positive nonverbal communication. The playful interaction and gentle touch from a well-trained docile animal can help soothe an Alzheimer patient and decrease the aggressive behavior. A research conducted at the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development states children with autism and ADHD can benefit from working with and keeping a pet. And as you all know, we live in a part where there are a lot of children with autism. Taking care of pets such as feeding, walking, bathing helps a child learn to focus, plan, and be responsible. And this acts as an aid to the child's self-confidence. Another important aspect that I would like to bring here is pets live in the moment. In other words, they do not worry about what happened yesterday or what may happen tomorrow. And as such, they make people being more mindful. And mindfulness is the psychological process of bringing one's attention to the present moment. Therefore, pets can help stressed teenagers enjoy and appreciate the present moment. Last but not the least, as you age, you...
Thank you, Toastmaster Anu. Now, may I invite speaker number 3 from the negative team, Toastmaster Vijaya Sukumar, to start her cross-examination for 2 minutes.
You're muted, Vijaya.
Yeah. Hi, Toastmaster Anuradha. I'm so appreciative that you tackled the issue of mental health, and you mentioned that pets allay or alleviate depression. Well, I want to counter that and ask you, are you not aware of how the loss of a pet can also cause and initiate and induce depression? Ask people who have lost beloved pets. What is your answer to that?
Yes,
you have only mentioned.
I agree. You're very right on that point. But then, you know, that kind of a trauma can cause even with loved ones. Death is inevitable, my friend. It has to come, whether it is for your pets or for your loved ones.
Agreed. But a pet is brought into your house by your choice. Your family is your one you're born into. My next question is, you mentioned that children with ADHD and autism can benefit with the association of pets. There is a study, as my teammate mentioned, Soumya, with the RAND Corporation, and they took into account all the variances, and they have reached a conclusion that differences in the rates of ADD, ADHD doesn't exist only in children, doesn't get reduced only with families that have pets. It is the other variables. You're not taking into account the differences. First of all, can every family, every home afford a pet? Isn't autism itself a very...
You're talking of the affordability, Toastmaster Vijaya. There are certain institutions that give pet because they are adopting these kind of abandoned creatures. They are vaccinating them, and then these are available for adoption. So why are you talking of only the affordability part? You're not going to spend a huge amount.
I am not talking only about affordability. First of all, let me tell you, for depression, for AIDS.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Vijaya. Now, may I ask you to go ahead and start your constructive speech for 3 minutes. Toastmaster Vijaya.
Definitely. Am I unmuted? Yeah, okay. So good evening, everybody. So far, in the last 22 odd minutes, my opposing team has displayed a clearly tunnel vision which suits their own convenience, conveniently ignoring every other practical aspect of life. The motion on the floor today is that every home should have a pet, and they want to just wipe or put under the carpet affordability. Please stop living in an utopian world and live in reality of today in a pandemic era. And let me show you the reality. Intensive research by Dr. Hal Herzog, a Western Carolina psychology professor, reveals that animals have complex emotions and we humans have absolutely no right to play with their lives and dictate how they should live, what they should eat, what they should wear, and how they should behave. And this is exactly what the pet industry is doing. Let me reveal to you the ramifications of this motion if it comes into place of every home having a pet. The first point is about pet abandonment. As per the Americans' Prevention for Cruelty of Animals, ASPCA, 600 million pets are abandoned worldwide every year. In 2019, in US alone, 733,000 pets were euthanized. 30% of these were abandoned by their own owners. If these were humans, my friends, it would be termed as genocide. People abandon pets when they become an inconvenience, when they can't afford them, or simply because they don't want the responsibility anymore. Abuse, abandonment, is that the fate those poor animals deserve? Point number 2, breeding customized animals to meet human demands and specifications leads to indiscriminate cruelty. Cats, are you aware, are declawed. Dogs have their tails cut to make them easier to sell. Dogs are bred for profit alone in inhumane conditions. Designing breeds leads to a range of congenital health problems. For example, you have German Shepherds with bad hips. As per the Sentinel Media, US has 10,000 puppy mills where more than 2 million puppies are produced every year. Should the pet pay this price just because you want it? Pets, however adorable, point number 3, remember, my friends, are animals with instincts and can be unpredictably dangerous. Though you choose to conveniently ignore the exotic pet industry, may I inform you there is a trend for keeping these animals.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vijaya. Now, please help welcoming back our captain from the affirmative team, Toastmaster Smita Vaidya, who will cross-examine for 2 minutes. Toastmaster Smita Vaidya.
That was a wonderful emotional speech, Toastmaster Vijaya. But can we rely on some numbers and statistics here?
Absolutely.
So you spoke about pet owners dictating terms to their pets? Do we have a number of how many households treat pets cordially, how many treat and authoritatively? Do we have that number?
Yes, Toastmaster Smita, if you happen to listen keenly to my very first point, you yourself would have heard that in 2019, I'm talking about recent times, 733,000 pets were euthanized and 30% of these were abandoned. Now tell me, why were they abandoned? Aren't you as a pet owner responsible for them? So you are dictating when they should live and when they should be living out on the streets? So how can you say that I don't have figures? I can even quote a recent Gulf News report where hundreds of animals have been euthanized or have died because of being abandoned in a pet market due to the pandemic right now. Who will buy a pet right now? Tell me. You choose
do we have reasons for abandonment?
Of course we have reasons, and I have statistics as well. One of the primary reasons is when a person moves away from a country. If you are transferred in UAE itself in 2018, an animal activist has reported at least 68 animals abandoned because the owners could not take them back to their home with them. So this is just a small fraction in one small country. We are talking about every home in a global context. So please be aware.
So you are suggesting we abandon them and not readopt them?
I am not suggesting abandonment. I am saying that every home should not have a pet. If you
Thank you, Toastmaster Vijaya. Now, the captain from the affirmative team, Toastmaster Smita Vaidya, will summarize in 3 minutes.
We get time, right?
Yeah, you get 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we get time, right? To summarize.
Yeah.
We have a break of 3 minutes, right?
I think you have a break of 2 minutes to discuss.
Okay. Whoever's laughing, please enjoy.
Will we have a breakout room or we need to discuss offline?
No, you do it offline. Switch off your videos and do it offline.
Okay, okay.
2 minutes, huh? Pranav, time it.
Pranav, please note, yeah.
Yes, I'm time.
We wait in silence.
You can sing if you want, Karthikeyan sir. We are all ears.
They're in the room.
I will declare the results of the last question. You know, the question I had put up to identify the Toastmaster who could have done that. I think probably I gave away too much when I gave the explanation. But whoever answered to that question got the answer right. There are two things. Either this Toastmaster is very transparent, everybody knows her so much, or they are so close to her that they know her history. And there was none other than Toastmaster Soumya Rangarajan who had that experience. And in fact, you know, one thing is there, we often, the language we speak is determined by our ethnicity sometimes, you know, the way we pronounce words, say things. So this can actually land us in trouble. I will put out the next question before they come back. There is one Toastmaster among us who actually a very distinguished Toastmaster. When this Toastmaster went to another club, the word master gave out the word of the day. Said diverse. And she immediately got up and round robin, she got up and made a sentence using the word diverse, D-I-V-E-R-S-E. And later on, she found out the actual word was D-I-V-O-R-C.
Diverse.
So, if you can make a guess who's it, just send it to me on the chat in a private message. Let's see how many of us can get it. Are we in for this 2 minutes? Because
yeah, time up. 2 minutes left.
Smita, you have to be back quickly. Time up.
I just wanted to know, will Pooja also get 2 minutes now?
All have been given 2 minutes now. No more. Finish. Immediately you have to summarize both sides. Your time is up. Both teams. Radha, you can invite them.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, may I now invite Smita Vaidya to summarize the speech in 3 minutes?
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. While our opponents clearly tried to mislead, misguide, and misinform us without adequate statistics through some myopic points, clearly they wanted to base their arguments on just exotic animals and financial incapabilities, which is really a myopic view. Even tried to bring irrelevance points. No, we are not talking about whether we need to domesticate animals or not. We are talking about whether every home should have a pet. We have proved beyond doubt that symbiotic relationship between humans and animals have only enhanced our lives. And our team firm Stanley for that motion. We have provided evidence by renowned institutes, biologists, websites, which point clearly to the fact that it is conducive to increase in the well-being of both pets and the pet owners. We clearly showed that we need that much need that natural link to connect ourselves to the environment requirement. We clearly told that the pet owners have much more conservative attitude rather than non-pet owners. And we clearly gave them research from websites which says that social, economic, emotional, and cognitive development of a child is increased, especially giving cases for ADHD and autism. And even citing cases for pet ownership, how it encourages even language and communication skills. My second speaker gave specific examples in terms of how researchers from renowned institutions explaining how it can reduce incidence of cardiac diseases by as good number of 40%, especially in the lives of people who are about 40 who are more lonely. She gave a very good example, renowned example of renowned University of Texas for teenagers, where she said that it aids in discipline and patience. When tasked with the discipline of keeping an animal on feeding schedule, the teens definitely became more regularly and consistent with their own health. We all know that we need that. Pets made us more mindful, from being guides to visually challenged persons and protecting us in case of diseases. Pets were there for all, and they tried to mislead us by talking about people who clearly didn't possess that positive emotions to welcome a lovely poodle of pup. Clearly, these are the households. Clearly, these are the households that need a pet to make their views a much more of a broader horizon. And my third speaker gave us very clear examples in terms of how it helps aged people cope with depression, anxiety, and stress. In fact, there are specific cases where even seizures have been prevented by their pets. Research at California.
Thank you, Toastmasters Smita. Now, once again,
I would want to interrupt here. I don't know, somebody's muting before time. I mean, like for the summary speech, and there was 10 seconds remaining. But I think when I put the red, it was muted.
That's correct, Pranav. When it is red, it has to be muted. Correct.
No, there was 10 seconds, Rajesh.
Yeah, 10 seconds, 3 minutes.
The red muting is done exactly on the time.
No, you didn't listen. The moderator said there was 10 seconds of grace for red is only for cross-examination muting. But for opening, rebuttal, and closing speakers, there's a 10 seconds grace.
There's always a 10 seconds grace.
Okay. All right.
Can you just ensure we follow the same thing for the second summary speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, we invite the captain from the negative team, Toastmaster Pooja, who will give a summary for 3 minutes. Toastmaster Pooja.
Thank you so much for having me back again. Today, ladies and gentlemen, one team actually debated on the motion that was presented to us on the group. The other team was flailing off and derailing completely. I can proudly state that it was our team that took into account each and every defining keyword of the motion, which is every household or every home or every house. It's synonymous. But it's important that the motion that we were trying to define and prove that should not be applied in a world that we try to live in is, why should every house really have a pet? And in that sense, it was our team that came out with key facts and figures as to why we believe that it is not a feasible option. In order to understand that feasibility, we presented a very comprehensive framework. First of all, by defining that this is the motion for the day, so let's stick on it. Second of all, we then challenged them saying, why do we not talk about huge industries that make so much money off of the name of having a pet at home? And why are we not accounting people who belong to different households and simply cannot afford it? Why is it not important to account for these statistics? Do these faces and numbers and their right to choose pet in their house not important? So what our first speaker, that is myself, tried to emphasize is that freedom and the ability to choose economically is a key factor that needs to be considered. And the fact that when you open up the avenue for choosing pets, you must be ready to accept both a dog and a snake in your house as a pet, if the person is willing to choose, if so. Then the second speaker came on and then rebutted very effectively the health aspect that was brought in by our affirmative speakers, and said that, again, diversity of thought and personality is a very key aspect. In fact, I would go to the extent to say that our affirmative team was quite selfish in their need for pets, where they said their emotional capacity would increase, their empathy would increase, and their kindness and compassion towards other people would increase, while we said that if we do not have those skills present in us and we cannot share those with our pets, we shouldn't be having a pet at home. It's a symbiotic relationship in all of its truest sense. If you cannot love your pet, do not expect love from your pets. That's quite selfish. And then we also went on to explain that we need to have our own physical health right in place in order to accommodate for them. And allergies are not something to mess with. They really do have lifelong implications, which was as proven by my second speaker. And given these health implications and our personalities taken into account, this is not something that we advise for every household. Finally, our third speaker also attacked another industrial complex, which is pet breeding and crossbreeding across species, which are abhorrent crimes against animals. And in a world where we give freedom for people, again, to choose whether economically or just choose a pet, we're also telling, fancy your whims, play God and do whatever it is that you like, as long as you can afford to. So given these 3 points, which is economic feasibility, as well as your health implications, and added the pet industrial complex, we believe that every household really does not need a pet.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Can we have a round of applause to all the 6 debaters? I came here with a question and I'm all the more confused. When I heard the affirmative theme, every house should have a pet, I said yes. And then when I went to negative, I was getting convinced. I wish Arnab had actually seen this show and they would have hired, or he would have hired all the 6 ladies. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful session. And may I now hand over the stage back to the TMOT, TTM Karthikeyan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Radhahari. In fact, if you have noticed one thing, this is a very special debate we had where all the participants were women. And I think everybody will agree that the rate at which the words were coming out, the number of words per minute, I think this is the highest we have had in all the meetings. The amount of content which was coming in was so much, I think the debate evaluator is going to have a tough time now. Well done there. The answer to the second question I asked is only one Toastmaster who answered, and she was bang on. That was Usha Mohan, who confused between diverse and diverse. The next session, before we go on, I think it's time for us to put out the poll for selecting the team which came out on top and the best debater. Can I have the Sergeant Arms? Toastmaster Rajiv, DTM Rajiv, can you put the poll out, please?
I've launched it.
The poll will pop up on your chat as we move along, because we have taken, like I said, people can our women speak? Oh my God, they can speak. And they have spoken and taken more time than what was scheduled. 15 minutes, we are behind schedule. So we have to rush on the program. So I will start the introduction of the next session, and Rajiv will simultaneously pop up the other poll for selecting.
So I'll end the polling. 14 out of the 15 have voted. So I'm ending the poll, the first one.
In fact, before we move on to the next session is again a very interesting session on impromptu speaking skills. In fact, I want to put out a question for you before we go on to this. There is one Toastmaster amongst us. Whenever she attempts a table topic and she is on the stage and she has been given a topic and she's stuck for ideas, the first words that come out of her mouth is, yes, shit. See if you can identify her and send her name to me on the chat. Before the next poll is out, please go ahead and vote for the best debater. So let's move on. The next session, the table topic session, is going to be handled by someone who's a champion speaker, a champion, someone who, from my home club, the Moorish Toastmasters, we are proud of her. She's like a trophy. We keep showing her around everywhere we go. And sorry that I have to show the trophy here also. She's someone who is the first person from our district who went to, in fact, from our club who went to the, who represented the district in the World Championship of Public Speaking. And she's someone who's been a Toastmaster for 9 years. She proudly says that she's in Ajman. She lives or based in Ajman. All of us always say, like, we are in Dubai, even though people stay in Sharjah. So she's very proud that she's in Ajman. And the funny instance she had when she was studying in the US, she wanted to go to the Walmart hypermarket, and she wanted to take a bus. And she went about asking everyone which bus would go to Walmart. And every time she asked Walmart, nobody could recognize what this is. And then she started observing the people around, and the way they were pronouncing this name was different. Then she caught on. She said, oh, she has to pronounce it as Wama. Like warmer is something, if she pronounces the word like warmer, people recognize immediately and point her in the right direction. And that is for you, DTM Samira Khan, our champion speaker, who will be conducting the TT session for us. Let's put our hands together and welcome DTM Samira Khan.
Thank you so much, DTM Karthikeyan. I had a nice introduction ready. It will take some time, but I will not do it because we are out of time. Let's dive right into the table topic session. Impromptu speaking, thinking off your head, on your feet. Let's have fun. It's going to be a bit different. All of us today here are going to assume the role of an object, and we will talk about our life as that object. That object will be selected using a spin wheel. If we have guests, please note, I think we have one guest in the group. Guests, please note, you have to speak for minimum 1 minute. At 1 minute, our timer will show you green. At 1.5 minutes, yellow. And at 2 minutes, red. And you can wind up your speech in 30 seconds. All set to go? Can I see thumbs up?
Can we ask everybody to switch on their videos, please? So that we know. Everybody switch on their videos, please. Anjana?
Only KL is left, Kuala Lumpur.
Who's KL?
There is no network there. Cool. Let's start. Who wants to go first? Santana, how are you? You look nice today. You want to go?
I think I have been caught red-handed, so yes, I will go.
All right. Very simple. You just have to describe your life as an object here on this wheel. Okay?
Okay.
And Santana, your object is a music instrument.
So if I can understand it right, I am the music instrument, right? So I have to talk as a music instrument. Perfect, thank you. So very good evening, Toastmasters, once again, Santana. So yes, music instrument. So yes, everybody says music brings the best in you. Sometimes if you're dejected, if you're happy, if you're sad, whatever it is, just go take a music instrument, play it, you will be very happy. But only if we music instruments had our own feelings and mouth, we will be able to better tell no. It is not every time whenever you humans feel like we can be made use of it. And the worst part is the beginners or the so-called music enthusiasts. They do something in times of this social media. Everybody wants to post it in their social media pages that they are musicians by just using us, which is horrible. So I would conclude that we music instruments are to be also respected, and we also have feelings, and we are best used by people who are extremely passionate about music. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Santana. Guest Anjana, would you like to go next? You seem all ready. Yeah, I take that as a yes. Give it a try. Okay, done? Okay, Anjana, here you go. You will describe your life as a sports shoes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sports shoes. Hmm. I think I'd be a lot in demand if I was good looking, expensive, and from a fancy brand. I'd be stocked up in really pretty stores, well lit, very attractively displayed. And I think I would cut across all ages, youth to the middle age to the older elderly, who would want me, to be so much part of their lives. And they think, even the ones who don't exercise. So I can't think of anything else to say, and I'm terrible at this.
Keep
Can
going,
I be
Anjana.
done?
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Do well, yeah.
Describe a day. Keep going.
Rajiv, I'm going to get back at this one day. Yeah, so I think I would add a lot of value, and I think I'd get to see a lot of places, going with the people wherever they travel. I'd see airports, I'd see entertainment facilities, I'd bowl. I think I'd have a pretty good life. And people do get tired, so we do get our share of rest as well when they switch to the stilettos and the office boots. So I think it's a pretty good life all in all, and I wouldn't mind being a sports shoe, a nice one at all. Now I'm done.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attempting. And now I think we are running short of time. We'll have one more speaker. Is that right, Pranav?
Yeah, we'll take one more. Yeah.
One
Yes.
more. Okay.
One more.
Aditya Musha, would you like to give it a try? Anyone else? I think Aditya Musha is not there. Rajiv? Rajiv, would you like to give?
I am busy making the polls, so can somebody else take up the role?
Who is Kale? Would Kale like to give it a try? And now it's open. Anybody? Pranav, what about the timer?
I'll have to time it, right? I'll have to time myself. So.
No problem. We'll time you.
That's okay. Karthikeyan can time you. He has a lot of books behind him, and I'm sure he will have 3 colored books there.
Okay, I'll.
Karthikeyan sir, I have.
I'll volunteer.
Okay.
I will time. Pranav, I'll be your timer.
Divya is timing.
Pranav, you will describe your life as a basketball.
Okay. So good evening to all the Toastmasters and guests. Assuming that I am a basketball, all the sports players will love holding me and playing with it, because I can be used at many different events, such as the NBA, or even at inter-school competitions for children. Being a basketball is really good. It gives the students or the sports athletes good energy for growing heights. We've seen Michael Jordan, then we've seen Kobe Bryant, and many such superstars who've grown super tall. And being a basketball is really being a basketball. I'm really enjoying that life currently. So that's it from my end. Back to you, DT and Samira.
Thank you, Toastmaster Pranav, Toastmaster Santana, and guest Anjana. Very well attempted. Timer, can I have the timing for our 3 speakers today?
Yeah. Toastmaster Santana took 1 minute and 44 seconds. Guest Anjana took 1 minute and 50 seconds. And how much time did I take?
1 minute and 3 seconds.
Thank you.
All are qualified.
All are qualified.
And while the votes are being put up, I hand the stage back to DTM Karthikeyan.
Thank you very much.
Shall I launch the poll, DTM?
Yeah, please go ahead. No? Go ahead and launch the poll. As we'll keep moving on. We'll be behind time.
Even the guest can vote for herself. Even the guest can vote for herself.
Thank you very much, DTM Samira Khan, for the wonderful TT session. And we really loved the innovation you brought in by bringing in the lucky spinning wheel for us to choose the topic. Well done there. In fact, it's time for me to also acknowledge a few people who are working behind the scenes. Our young Taima is a student from the Middlesex University. He's doing a 2nd year. Toastmaster Pranav. And the person who's controlling the Zoom, managing the Zoom admin is DTM Rajiv Naik, who's also the Sergeant at Arms this evening. In fact, talking about the World Championship of Public Speaking, there's a Toastmaster amongst us. Before I go on, the previous question I asked, yes, it was Toastmaster Smita Vidya, that innocent lady who seems so quiet, and this is how she speaks when she has no ideas on how to handle a TT subject. It was very surprising when I got that message from her. And talking about the World Championship of Public Speaking, in fact, we have a Toastmaster who was once asked by a new Toastmaster, what is this WCPS? What is the expansion for this? And so she sent out a message saying that World Championship of Public Speaking. Unfortunately for her, the autocorrect took over and sent it across as World Champion of Public Spanking. And she didn't know what to do. See if you can identify her and send me a message if you know who she is. Moving on, I think the polls were up and the voting has been done, I guess. We move on to our next session straight off. This is the session you all will wait for. You know, a tech debate, what is more important is that not only we do debate, but we also get valuable feedback on how we did and what can be improved and how we take ourselves to the next step. Today we have 6 debaters debating on a very hot topic with plenty of words. It was a plethora of, it was pouring. It was like a flood of words. And good luck to our evaluator who's come in. And of course, he's a man who always, whenever I look at him, I always think of this Dilip Vengsaka, that stylish off drive of him. And this guy is going to make that stylish off drive as he comes in. Toastmaster for a pretty long time. He's been a Toastmaster for more than a decade now, I guess. And someone who's taken on leadership roles, not just in our club. He's led our club. He's been somebody who's been guiding us, and who's also been someone who's been a beacon of leadership in the district. Let's bring on DTM Sandeep Vengsaka to do the evaluation for the debate.
Thank you, DTM Karthikeyan, and a very good evening to all. Let me just jump directly into the debate and the evaluation of the debate. The way I would like to go through this is talk about a few generic trends I found across all the teams, whether they were speaking the constructive or the challenges. And then also for specific people, get into some of the specifics in terms of what I saw. Now, frankly speaking, for this topic, it was a very, very interesting debate, a well-fought debate, because the moment you have a topic which says every home and should, every and should, the job normally for the negative team is a very easy one, right? In terms of they just need to defend the every and the job is done. And I think, but even given that, the amount of discussion we had today as a part of the debate was very, very constructive. Few things which I saw, a lot of statistics, a lot of research in all the constructive speeches, whether it was the affirmative team or whether it was the negative team, and that actually brought in a lot of research to the table. On the challenges side, and this is something which I think we need to, I'm not sure whether we recorded this session, but if you recorded this session, you find that a lot of questions were too long in terms of the way the questions were asked. And as I go through the evaluation, I will point out a few examples. Right, let's talk with the opening speaker of the affirmative team. Toastmaster Smita did the job well, brought in some points in terms of how pets help and so on. Two things, Toastmaster Smita. One is your speed. I'm not sure what the timing was. You had 5 minutes. I'm sure you finished in about 3.5 minutes. You could have been a lot more slower, emphasized on a points. It just looked as if you were reading through a series of points and putting them forward. That's one suggestion. Just slow down a bit so that people can internalize what you're doing. The second one thing that I thought, which the opening speaker of the negative team did very well, is set out the difference between what she was going to do and what the other two speakers were going to do. I think that construct, that approach from a team perspective needs to be put up right up front. And I think that was something which I did not see as a part of your opening speech. And the final part, which I thought the opening speaker of the negative team picked up all right way, but did not, none of the others then built up on it, was you were always talking about how pets help people, but not why every home should have it. I think that was the key, right? Why should every home have it? The way, in an ideal situation, a topic like this should go is, every home needs X, Y, Z. Pets provide A, B, C. Hence, every home should have a pet. I think that has to be the kind of a structure that your opening speech should have to really become effective. So that was from the opening speaker's perspective. Then going to the, and I'll go through the constructive speeches once, then come to the challenges. Toastmaster Pooja set up the approach of the team very well. She actually talked to us about what the second speaker was going to talk about, what the third speaker was going to talk about. So we know what was coming. We knew that someone was going to talk about economics, someone was going to talk about exotic, and also the industry. So that was a very well done construct. Also, the only thing, Toastmaster Pooja, I felt was your opening statement looked too much of a rebuttal. You went into a lot more detail of trying to rebut the points made rather than setting up your statement, which is the job of the opening speaker. You are setting like, this is our team's position. That was lesser, but it was more than. And a lot of the rebuttal, ideally, you should leave for your summary. And that's what went into your this thing. You used the 5 minutes well, so very well done on that. Going on to Toastmaster Divya, I think she followed the party line, and the party line consistently was talking about how pets are beneficial to people, right? And the party line which you seem to have done is, this is what we will talk about. So all the three speakers, whether it was Toastmaster Smita, Toastmaster Divya, Toastmaster, followed a party line. The only thing was the party line was a little away from the topic, and that's something that we need to address. But otherwise, from talking about the discipline, talking about the improved immunity, a lot of these things you brought out very well in terms of the benefits to people. That was very well done. So overall, a very nice speech and well paced also in what you did, but it is still, as I said, going back to my opening point, slightly away from the line that I was expecting. Talking about DTM Soumya, the standard 1, 2, 3, 4, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4 approach, you went through the all in a proper way. Some of the points which I thought which you brought up, which unfortunately the opposing team did not pick up, was things around health hazards, and some of the health hazards that you brought up. We're all assuming that the pets will be cats and dogs, right? And this is some of the questions ideally the opposing team should have picked up on, which did not happen as a part of the challenges also. Toastmaster Anuradha followed the party line. You talked about some of the things with respect to scientific explanations, the thing about the loyal dog, how it helps, the one about the non-verbal communications, Alzheimer's. So a lot of points again brought up, again following the party. So if I say that you worked as a team, I can say that you worked as a team because you followed a party line. And the last one, Toastmaster Vijaya, I think followed up, I think well done in terms of the tunneled vision, talking about how your opponents have a tunneled vision should have been left to the summary or a part of your rebuttal, right? The abandonment, the numbers that you came up with were very valid and very well put forward, and also your whole concentration about the crossbreeding and creation of the exotic pets. So from a constructive speeches perspective, I think the line that was followed and the way it was done was reasonably well. Now coming to the challenges, and like I said, most of the questions that were asked were too long-winded. All of you started a question with a statement of your own and then asked questions, right? I will give you an example. When Toastmaster Pooja was asking a question about a symbiotic relationship, the first thing is, what do you mean by symbiotic relationship? Isn't it better to have a symbiotic relationship between trees and this thing rather than have it with pets? That's not what a challenge is for. Your challenge is to pull down the points raised by the opposition. So go straight to the question and bring that question up front so that it goes into the details. So that is what was there. The things like harping on some of the points that Toastmaster Smita had made. It was done, but I saw, you going back the moment Smita started becoming aggressive, and you could have just cut her short. I asked the questions, not you. I think that's the attitude that the challenges ground has to take. Going to the next challenge, which was basically the challenge of Divya's challenge to Toastmaster Pooja. right? And this is where I come to the statement about too long. You managed only one question before the green. Yeah, so your original statement, you repeated all the statements which were made by the opening speaker, Toastmaster Puja, about 70% is this, exotic, and so on and so forth. By the time you asked a question, I could see the green from the timer. So you are able to manage to slip in only one question. You need to get as many questions as possible, try to make them yes or no questions, and then actually go down into the details. Don't try to give an explanation. It's not your job to give an explanation. It's the job of the for the opposing person to give an explanation on why you are doing that. So just ask 0 and 1 questions and get it through. Then I go on to the Toastmaster Soumya's challenge. The one thing which I liked here is that she picked up on the word likely. It is on the research, that all the research that DTM Divya came up with said that it is a likelihood that it will improve. And I think that is the key thing there. Again, the same thing all along in terms of explaining the question or explaining why you are asking that question. You don't need to do that. It is your prerogative to ask the question. So ask the question and use that answer to the question as a response. Then it was Toastmaster Anuradha's challenge to Toastmaster Soumya. Yeah, I think it was again the emotional capacity, right? You also gave an explanation of how you can become emotional or how you can become emotionally attached. So I think that was a common trend, right? The whole, and I will not get into that into any more detail. So that is one thing that we definitely need to strengthening on. We need to get a lot more serve and you know what you call military style when we start asking the questions. Very specific, 0 and 1 answers, and that's what we need to do. Coming to the summary, very well summarized by both the speakers in terms of what they wanted to do. Covered both sides very well in terms of. Especially when Toastmaster Smita started in terms of how the points were myopic, how they were only concentrating on economics and the exotic and so on, which is rightly done. Also then moving into the topics which her team came up with. But the only thing which Toastmaster Smita I felt here is you started off with the points of the opposition, went into the points of your team, then came back, realized that you had time, and then you came back and slipped in a point about something that the opposition said. That from a summary speaker's perspective, needs to be a little more structured. You could either do your thing first, ideally do the opposing team, how you rebutted the opposing team first, and then move into the summary of your speakers and close out very effectively with the summary of your speakers, rather than going back and forth, because then it looks as if you are just covering for time. Toastmaster Puja, rightly done in terms of the way you structured your thing. The way I would have done it is, and I think you did it to some extent as a part of your summary, is because you had clearly defined the approach right up front as a part of your opening address. You could have just gone back and said, in my opening address, this is what we said we would approach. And hence, I would like to give my summary in relation to that. And then followed that. It could have brought that whole thing together in a well-structured fashion the moment you presented a summary. Right? So in a nutshell, I think constructive speeches, I think we are all very good at. We need to get a little better in terms of the challenging round, and especially get into that critical aspect, not necessarily get into a mode that we need to be polite to each other. We can be absolutely impolite to each other on this forum and can go out and get a cup of tea with each other. It doesn't mean that way. So it can be there. I think that's something.
very positive comments, and making a lot of other men jealous also in the way. And in fact, when I asked him to tell me something about kind of a situation where he got into because of language, he in fact went way back to schooling days, and he said like his school seems to be a pretty notorious place where people always used a lot of bad language in class. And he was someone who was a very clean guy who never used this. And then he got so intimidated one day and he said, okay, I'm going to give it back in the same way to them. And he used the F word. Unfortunately for him, the teacher was near him when he used that word. So he got punished for that by asking, the Indian way of asking him to write imposition that he will not use bad language in class 500 times. So what he says is that what is important is not what you speak, but when you speak is very important. So that is his take. Let's bring on the most dashing personality of the club, DTM Ravi, to do the evaluation for the TT session. DTM Ravi Masad.
Thank you, Karthik, and good evening, Toastmasters. Yeah, I can see the lips moving, so I accept that good evening. Now, Toastmaster Samira has brought us like a wonderful concept, really speaking. I really love the idea of being an instrument. So the concept really was very nice, and it had huge potential for bringing fun in that table topics. But due to certain facts, it did not go up to that level. And again, we didn't have many members to attend to answer the questions as well today. Nevertheless, I'll go through the performances. I think the comments I have for most of these respondents are pretty much the same. The first one, Toastmaster Santana took up and he was supposed to speak as a music instrument. And he was slightly confused in the beginning, but then he started explaining about music, how music brings the best. And he talked about posting in social media and the bad sides as well. Now, what I feel in Santana's case, now I'll go through the rest and I'll come through because my recommendations are pretty much the same for all of you. When it comes to Anjana, she talked about the good sides of being a sports shoe and the sitting in the showroom and the fact that it adds a lot of value. I get to see places. She was happy being a shoe. In fact, even Pranav was happy being a basketball. He mentioned Michael Jordan over there. He mentioned the sports events, and he finally mentioned that I'm enjoying the life as a basketball, which is fun, which is fine. In fact, so it's not an easy to attack topic, especially we are not used to it. Not many are used to it, how to do it. In my opinion, you need to assume the character properly. As soon as you get the topic, you need to assume the character properly. Then only you can explain from that standpoint. Like you should be in the shoe. If you are a sports shoe, you should get into the shoes of the shoe. Then only you can start speaking. For example, if you take Santana's case, musical instrument, it was generic. Like whose musical instrument are you? What kind of musical instrument are you? And who is holding the musical instrument? This should come to your mind the moment you say musical instrument. For example, if you are a wind instrument, you will always be kissed. If you are a percussion instrument, you will always be hit actually. So the perils that you go through, if you are tabla of Zakir Hussain, for example, you can say that I'm tabla of Zakir Hussain, then you will always be beaten. So that character you need to get into the moment they say instrument. Unless you do that, you will not be able to answer that properly. Similarly, if you take the case of sports shoe, whose shoes are you? Are you the shoes of Usain Bolt? Or are you the shoes of a normal tennis player? What kind of shoes are you? Then you can bring a fun factor into that. Similarly, if you take the basketball, he rightly mentioned, he mentioned Michael Jordan over there. If you would have told from the point of view of a basketball whom Michael Jordan uses for practice, it would have been fun. Or you can be the basketball Divya used for her speeches or whatever, So that character definition, I think that was lacking in almost all the speeches. Other than that, the attempt was done well. They talked about from the point of view of the instrument or the shoes of the basketball. So I think most of them started instantly. The moment topic was given, they instantly started speaking. Instead of that, if you have taken 5 or 8 seconds or 10 seconds to think about that character, then you could have answered this particular topic in much better way. Nevertheless, the topic was really fun, a very innovative way of doing table topics. Thanks for that, Samira, and well done table topic respondents. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, DTM Ravi, for that crisp evaluation of table topics. And moving on, now actually, you know, the question I asked you about who had actually texted WCPS as a World Championship of Public Spanking, it was, I did not get any response, probably because the person is not here. It is none other than our president, Toastmaster Lavanya. So maybe that is why she bugged the meeting. She didn't want to be called out on that. On that note, I think the amount of information I got from people, you know, was so much. I actually have like 3 pages of comments, which I could not share, because of paucity of time. There's one thing in conclusion I would like to say is that when we say mind our language, it is not just only about what we speak. It also includes what we hear. So listening also becomes a main reason of what we reply back. So not only we have to be cautious about what we speak, the words we use. In fact, in certain circumstances, we have to be very politically right. Like, for example, in the Toastmaster fraternity, there are certain taboo topics we cannot talk about, so we have to avoid them. And even if we bring out, it has to be brought out very subtly. And in certain places where you have to be very politically correct, in certain countries, especially if you're in the US, you have to be very careful about what you say and what you don't. I remember my own personal experience of the first time I was addressing a training there. I used to always say sales guys. Though every time I said a sales guy, there was a participant in the training who would say salesperson. So, you know, you have to be very careful because there can be women also who are in the sales profession. So you cannot say sales guy or say salesman. So it has to be salesperson. So this is something which I learned when I started traveling abroad and trying to give training programs. And also, not only that, we have to also be aware of the ethnicity of the people, the different cultures which are there, who live alongside us in this beautiful country, and who have their own peculiarities of pronunciation. And sometimes these pronunciations can misguide us. We have to take cognizance of that and be aware so that we understand what they say properly and we reply back the right way. Otherwise, you might end up having the other person tell you, just mind your language. In that, let me hand you over back to our acting president, who will be closing the evening for us, DTM this time. The last time when I said DTM, she said, no, I am not at a DTM. DTM, Divya Raj, for you. Over to you, DTM Divya.
Thank you so much.
Divya, there is one poll remaining. Shall I launch it for the evaluator?
Oh,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Oh, yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. So since we are running short on time and
it's on the
poll is
screen now.
launched. Yeah, it's on your screen. And thank you, DTM Karthikeyan, for a wonderful session. Mind your language, mind your language. And today, you know, sorry for pulling you on this one. You did a couple of errors too. So you called Smita Vidya. She is Smita Vaidya. You called Ravi Masood. He'll kill you. He's Ravi Musad. And Hari called Samara. So a couple of language errors, name errors here and there. But I think we really missed some of our members and their energy. It was a smaller group, but yet a very effective meeting. A tough debate. And the best part of our meetings is the evaluation, no doubt. I think both the evaluators did a phenomenal job. And it's an opportunity to take note and learn and improve. And no matter how good you are as a speaker, there is definitely a room for improvement. So thank you very much to our esteemed panel of evaluators. Congratulations, girls. All of you did a great job to pull a cross-examining kind of a debate. I'm just glad it's done, really. So And the surprise package today was our newest member, Pooja. I think what we saw today, what she displayed today in the capacity of a debater was, I think I was mind blown. I was like, God, how will I cross-examine her? Her opening was phenomenal. So yes, I want all of you to please give her a thunderous round of applause because she deserves it. And it was her first role. She was supposed to do the icebreaker, but it was kind of her to step in when people pulled out. And it was a blessing for all of us because what we got to see is something that we will take home with us and learn from. So very well done, Pooja, on your maiden attempt in the Take Debate Club. You are an asset to us, no doubt. With that, let us quickly come down to our winners for tonight. There are no guests today, right? So I don't have to
There
ask.
is one guest, Anjana.
There's just one guest. Anjana, before I get to the results, can I quickly have your feedback if you enjoyed the meeting? What was your experience like? Unmute yourself, please.
Oh, I did enjoy the debate, but I'm extremely uncomfortable with public speaking in any state or form. So I was a bit taken aback with the fact that I had to. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the entire process and the precision of how a debate is taken. I've not seen it professionally done any time before this.
Now then this is the right platform for you to hone your public speaking skills. And I really hope that we get back to physical meetings soon, because there what you experience, the
She lives
energy.
in India, Divya. She's from
Oh,
Bangalore.
she's in India. Sorry, I
From
missed
Bangalore.
that. I'm so sorry. But even in India, if you can join any of the Toastmasters clubs, I think you will kickstart on a journey which will eventually lead you to a path of.
That's what I told Rajiv. That's what I told Rajiv. He's my cousin. I told him I'm really good with back end stuff. You put me behind the curtains, I'll do a great job. But don't put me on the stage, in the front of anybody more than 2 people. I cannot speak. I'll just zip
You
up.
did. You did, didn't you? In front of 15 people. So yes, that calls for a. So well done. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
let's wrap it up quickly with our winners for tonight. The best team was Team Negative. The best debater, no prizes for guessing, Toastmaster Pooja. And the best table topic speaker is he here or has he left? It was
He's there, he's
Toastmaster.
there, he's right there.
Oh, he's right there. Toastmaster Santana, you're the best table topic speaker. And the best evaluator is Toastmaster Sandeep Vengsar, DTM Sandeep Vengsar. So, irrespective of who gets the trophy, this is more for myself. We are all winners. We did a good job. So kudos. And with this,
And can everybody switch on their videos so I can take a picture?
Yes, yes, please.
Ravi, Anu, Usha.
We have a little
Oh.
Zidane also in the frame.
Zidane.
So.
He
Samira,
I
raise
can't
him
see him. Put him a little bit up, Samira.
Yeah, raise him up a little bit.
Yeah, raise him up. Okay. Now, smile, everybody.
Come.
Thank you.
Samira, just hold him up.
Oh, he's so cute. He's grown so much. Oh, what a cutie.
Oh my God, so cute.
All right. So then we call it a day. And the next meeting, we will have the regular debate. And thank you, Radha, for that wonderful topic after. Okay, this is for us to joke around with eventually. But thank you so much for a fun topic. I think we all enjoyed it. And with that, thank you very much. And let us meet again for our second meeting in August. I don't remember the date, but that's okay. It will be the third Wednesday.
19.
You see, you lose touch when you don't do all this. This is a classic example. Be it sergeant at arms or be it president. So everything needs practice. So with that, adios and see you soon.
Good
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
night.